What's going on, guys? 24/7 Tech here, and I think that the two-in-one market has really evolved the past few years, and some things like the iPad Pro, the Surface lineup, Samsung's Galaxy Tab lineup have really kind of made their impact on the laptop and the tablet market. And if you were in the market for a convertible machine, you might have been looking at the Surface Pro X or the iPad Pro 12.9-inch to kind of replace your laptop, that sort of thing. In this video, I'm going to be telling you guys which one to buy by going over all of its features, the value proposition of these devices, and if you can really use this to its full potential and to do all of the things that you do. Stay tuned for an awesome video. Please subscribe down below, guys. Every subscriber makes a difference. I need all the help that I can get from you guys, and every subscriber makes a huge difference. Also, go check out my Twitter and Instagram. I create behind-the-scenes content for you guys. I post live updates. I post kind of tech opinions that I have as well on both platforms, so go follow me over there. Also, for more tech content in general, you can go read my articles at the link medium.com/@247tech. I create awesome articles on there, and it's a great platform for me to share my tech opinions with you guys. But anyways, let's get on with what the iPad Pro has better than the Surface Pro X. So here are the iPad Pro's features that I think are noteworthy and need to be in this video. First of all, there's a 120Hz display, which is, I think, one of the best features that the iPad Pro has, and I think that a lot of other tablets, laptops should be getting this feature too, especially since it's a really touch-based, thing as an iPad. It's really useful to have this 120Hz display, and I hope the iPhones get it this year with the iPhone 12, but we'll see. The bezels are also really slim, and it's not like ultra slim like the Dell's XPS 13 or something, but it's good because if you really want to use the tablet, there's got to be some black space, some non-touch sensitive space so that you can hold the tablet and do whatever you want to do on there as well. The design is also very light, thin, it feels amazing. I love the color options. Space Gray is my personal favorite. I really like the boxy design too, and the connection to put your Apple Pencil or your Magic Keyboard or your Smart Keyboard or whatever, the intangibles to put on there are really good, and I really like how Apple kind of seamlessly integrates these things together. Even though not many people use cameras on the iPad Pro, I think that the cameras on the iPad Pro are really good, and maybe in the future they could be used. First of all, the main cameras. There are two cameras on the back. There's one 12 megapixel wide camera, so it's a normal camera that you expect. I think it's the same lens as the iPhone 11's main camera. And then you also have a 10 megapixel ultra wide camera that is also really reminiscent of iPhone 11's ultra wide camera. So I think that taking pictures on this camera is amazing, but if it's costing Apple a lot of money to make these cameras, I feel like a price reduction is probably better to lure more customers than adding another lens to the camera, because ultra-wide lens is really not useful. Since when did you see people going outside to the beach and taking pictures with their iPad? I mean, if you guys do that, you might want to use your phones. But there's also a LiDAR scanner now with the 2020 iPad Pro, and I think that in the future, and since we're also moving on type of an AR type of scheme for furniture, Amazon devices, that sort of stuff. I was recently looking at a new computer desk for me on Amazon, and it said view in your room on my iPhone. I mean, it kind of worked out, but I feel like with that AR lens, with that LiDAR scanner that the iPad Pro does, it would have been much better to do that, but my iPhone still did it fine. The performance and the speed, the quickness of the iPad Pro is almost unparalleled. Just take Face ID, for example. Face ID is super fast, it's super secure, and you can unlock your devices in a jiffy. It's so fast, and I really like the security part of that too. The best part is you can use it in any orientation as well. So if you're in the iPad Pro normal view, portrait view, you can use it there. You can use it upside down, all of that. Just make sure you're not blocking the lens though. But it works in all orientations, which is a great feature. And the A12Z Bionic is super fast, and it's not even up to date. It's not like the A13 architectures being brought over to the A12, which is even faster. But the A12Z Bionic is super fast, and it has the same Geekbench performance as the $1,800 13-inch MacBook Pro that Apple sells themselves. So an $800 11-inch iPad Pro, even though that's not what we're comparing here, has the same processing capabilities as a $1,000 more, device. Let's now discuss what the Surface Pro X has, which are kind of noteworthy features. First of all, Windows powers this device, not Android, not iPadOS or iOS. This is a full-on laptop browser, you can do everything you do on your $10,000 Windows machine that you can do on this Surface Pro X, which is great. I'll get on to why this is really useful and could make the difference for a lot of people. And the keyboard is also full-fledged, so that means you've got the same arrow keys, tab, shift, all of that sort of stuff that you would expect, plus function keys on the top too, which make this keyboard, a great package, and it's like a full-fledged keyboard. And for me, I write articles on Medium, as I said before. It's really useful for me to have a good keyboard with a lot of space, big keys, and since this is a 13-inch display on this device as well, it makes sense why there's a huge keyboard. The Surface Pen also has a nice slot. It's kind of a different approach. It slides on the keyboard, but you have to have the Surface Slim Pen for this, just like you have to have the Apple Pencil 2 for the iPad Pro. It just sits in the keyboard slot, and when you fold the Surface Pro X up, you can't even see the Surface Pen, which is actually even more secure than the iPad Pro. So arguably, it could make a better feature than the iPad Pro's kind of magnetic connection. And Windows Hello is still pretty smooth, not even close to as safe or secure as Face ID, but it's still pretty secure and it gets the job done. The spec sheet on the Surface Pro X is also a tiny bit better than the iPad Pro. Aside from the CPU and the GPU, where it's kind of even ground, maybe the iPad Pro has the edge with its A12Z Bionic, but the RAM and the SSD are 8 and 16 gigabytes of RAM, so you can get up to 16 gigabytes of RAM on the Surface Pro X, whereas the iPad Pro caps at 6, and you have to buy the 1 terabyte option for that. The storage also comes at 128 gigabytes standard, and the RAM is 8 gigabytes standard, so that's double what you would get with the iPad Pro, since that only has 4 gigabytes of RAM standard and 64 gigabytes of storage standard. So those types of specs are better, and the Surface Pro X can also take advantage of that full CPU and GPU power, since it does run a full-fledged version of Windows and not some type of iPad OS, knockoff Mac OS and iOS kind of, sandwich. Let's talk about which one will get you a better laptop replacement. First of all, the iPad Pro is much better. It's much more elevated with iPad OS. The trackpad and cursor support is now much better. Mouse support is also there now. So the iPad Pro does have some better advantages than the older versions, but it's still not there yet. It's not a whole Mac OS setup. It's not a whole Windows setup. It's not Linux. So you don't get applications on that. So if you want to run something like VS Code, you can't do it on the iPad Pro since it's not an app. It has to be something on the App Store, or it has to be a web version. So some things that I do, I edit video on Final Cut Pro. Can I do that on the iPad Pro? No, it's just not possible. So, but if you're someone who, can do a web browsing type of thing, then maybe the iPad Pro could be for you, but I don't think you need to spend as much money as this thing costs to get that type of feature. The Surface Pro X, however, runs a full-fledged Windows operating system. So this means you can run everything that you run on normal Windows. So if I need to run Adobe Lightroom, or if I need to edit on Adobe Premiere, I can do that on the Surface Pro X, whereas on the iPad Pro, it's not possible. So the Surface Pro X can do anything a normal Windows laptop can do. It's literally bringing a 2-in-1 form factor with a Windows kind of operating system. If iPad got Mac OS, that would kind of ruin the iPad's vibes and what it's meant for, but it would be so much better for someone who wanted a laptop replacement to go for that, since it's a pretty powerful product. It's got the power that it needs, it's got the display, it's got the amazing feature set. So it could be that type of thing, but it would kind of drag away from the iPad. For me personally, I do many things from internet browsing, writing articles, schoolwork, video editing, programming, all that sort of stuff. So I have a blend of web browsing, a blend of applications. But since I can't do that applications part, I can't make videos like this for you guys on the iPad Pro. I need my MacBook to do that type of thing, which is why the Surface Pro X is probably the better laptop replacement. Let's talk about the value and price proposition of these devices. The 12.9-inch iPad Pro comes at $1,000. The Apple Pencil costs $130 extra, and the Magic Keyboard costs another $400. So it comes out to $1,530 US dollars to buy the 12.9-inch iPad Pro with all the accessories that you need with the device. But the Surface Pro X only comes at $1,270, which is $260 cheaper. The base price is $1,000, but accessories to add on. So if you want the Surface Slim Pen and the Surface wireless keyboard that are meant for the Surface Pro X, That's a $270 bundle, so if you add both of them up, it's only $1,270. The accessories on the iPad Pro is where Apple, I feel like, makes a lot of their money, and it's so expensive to get that Magic Keyboard, $400. That's a whole nother iPad there. Maybe you could have 2 iPads and type on the other iPad. I don't know, that would be kind of cool. But the Surface is $260 cheaper. It's got double the RAM, double the storage at the base configuration. However, a normal laptop probably would be much better than both of these in a value proposition, since most new laptops get 8 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabytes of storage, and around $1,100 to $1,200. But of course, you don't get that 2-in-1 or the amazing features. So what's my verdict on both of these devices? First of all, the iPad Pro is a cool device. I'm not gonna lie, it's a completely different feeling when you're using it. It feels amazing. It's really nice for sure, but it simply cannot replace your laptop. There's not a logical sense to spend over $1,500 on something that can only web browse or do that type of stuff. If you really need to do something like that, go check out the $500 iPad Air, or the $330 normal 10.2-inch iPad. The iPad Pro should be able to run some applications, and until Apple brings that, the Surface Pro X is the clear winner here for someone who needs to do any sort of laptop work. Because even if you're just doing web browsing, the Surface Pro X is still $250 cheaper for that whole package. It's got the same size display, double the RAM, double the SSD, and if you need application support down the road, 3 or 4 years from now, if you decide to become a video editor, you could get Adobe Premiere on the Surface Pro X and start video editing. But for the iPad Pro, it'll be a hassle to buy a new machine, sell the iPad Pro out, and it's a huge hassle. And in general, the Surface Pro X is the most 2-in-1 and the most laptop in my opinion. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe down below. Every subscriber makes a difference, and the help that I can get. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. See ya!